Ulysses Grant was a very important man in American history. He was a soldier, a general, and later the President of the United States. But his life was not always easy, and he had many problems before success. How did a quiet boy become one of the most famous generals in history? Ulysses Grant was born on April 27, 1822, in Ohio, United States. His full name at birth was Hiram Ulysses Grant, not Ulysses Grant. His family called him Lys when he was still a young boy. His father worked as a tanner, and he made leather for many useful products. Young Grant did not like the smell of leather, and he hated this work. From a very young age, Grant loved horses and animals very much. He was very calm, quiet, and careful when working with horses. People said he had a special talent for understanding and training horses. This skill helped him many times later during his military career. Grant went to school, but he was not the best student in class. He liked math more than other subjects, and he did well in it. He did not like speaking in public, and he was often shy around others. When Grant was 17 years old, his life changed in a big way. His father sent him to a military school called West Point Academy. Grant did not want to go there, but he listened to his father. What happened at West Point that changed his name forever? At West Point, a mistake changed his name in official records forever. The school wrote his name as Ulysses Grant instead of Hiram Ulysses Grant. Grant decided to keep this new name, and he used it all his life. Life at West Point was strict, and students followed many hard rules. Grant did not enjoy the discipline, but he learned many useful skills there. He became very good at riding horses, even better than other students. Grant finished school in 1843, and he became a young army officer. Soon after that, he went to fight in the Mexican-American War. This war helped him learn about real battles and military leadership. During the war, Grant showed courage and strong character many times. He worked under other generals and learned important lessons from them. Even though he was brave, he did not like war very much. After the war ended, Grant continued working in the United States Army. He traveled to different places, including far areas away from his family. This time was difficult for him because he often felt lonely and sad. Grant married Julia Dent, a woman he loved very much for many years. They had a happy relationship, and she supported him during hard times. But why did Grant leave the army if he was a good officer? Life in the army became harder for Grant over time. He had problems with money and sometimes struggled with personal habits. Finally, in 1854, Grant left the army and returned to civilian life. After leaving the army, Grant faced many serious problems in his life. He tried different jobs, but many of them did not bring success. At one point, he even worked in his father's leather store again. Grant often worried about money and how to support his growing family. These years were very difficult, and he felt like he was failing. Could this struggling man really become a great leader one day? Even though life was hard, Grant did not give up hope. He continued working and trying to build a better future for his family. Soon, a great war would begin in the United States. This war would change Grant's life forever and make him famous. In 1861, a very big conflict started in the United States of America. This conflict was called the American Civil War, and it changed the country forever. The nation was divided into two sides, called the Union and the Confederacy. Could the quiet and struggling Grant become a hero in this dangerous war? When the war began, Grant decided to return to the army again. At first, he did not receive a very important position in the military. However, he worked hard and showed strong discipline and leadership every day. Soon, people began to notice that Grant was calm and confident in battles. He did not panic under pressure, and he made clear and strong decisions. These qualities helped him rise quickly in the army ranks. In 1862, Grant won an important battle at Fort Donelson in Tennessee. This victory was very important for the Union side during the war. After this battle, people started calling him Unconditional Surrender Grant. Why did people give him such a strong and unusual nickname? They gave him this nickname because he demanded total surrender from the enemy forces. This showed that Grant was serious, strong, and determined to win the war. Later, Grant fought in another very difficult battle called Shiloh. This battle was long, bloody, and very dangerous for both sides. Many soldiers died, and the fighting was very intense and frightening. Even though the battle was hard, Grant did not give up or retreat. In the end, his army won, and this victory made him even more famous. President Abraham Lincoln began to trust Grant more and more. Lincoln believed that Grant was one of his best generals in the war. What made Grant different from other generals during this war? Grant believed in constant action and did not wait too long to attack. He understood that the Union Army needed strong and fast decisions. Other generals were often slow, but Grant was ready to move quickly. In 1864, Grant became the top general of all Union armies. This was a very big responsibility, and many people watched his actions closely. He worked closely with President Lincoln to plan the final strategy of the war. Grant led many battles against the Confederate General Robert E. Lee. Lee was a very skilled and respected leader on the other side. The battles between them were long, difficult, and very important. Grant used a strategy of continuous pressure against Lee's army. He knew that the Union had more soldiers and more resources. This strategy slowly weakened the Confederate forces over time. Would this long and hard strategy finally bring the war to an end? In April 1865, something very important finally happened. General Lee surrendered his army to Grant at Appomattox Courthouse. This moment effectively ended the Civil War in the United States. Grant treated Lee and his soldiers with respect and kindness. He allowed him to return home instead of punishing them harshly. This helped the country begin the long process of healing after the war. After the war, Grant became a national hero across the United States. People admired his leadership, strength, and calm personality during difficult times. What would Grant do next after becoming a national hero? Many people believed that Grant should become the president of the country. They trusted him to lead the nation during a very difficult time. The United States needed strong leadership to rebuild after the war. This period was called Reconstruction, and it was full of challenges. Grant decided to enter politics and run for President of the United States. Soon, his life would change again in a very big and important way. After the Civil War, Grant became one of the most famous men in America. People trusted him because he helped save the Union during a very dangerous time. Could a great general also become a successful president of a divided nation? In 1868, Grant ran for President of the United States. He was supported by many people who respected his military success and leadership. Grant won the election and became the 18th President of the United States. As President, Grant led the country during the period called Reconstruction. This was a time when the nation tried to rebuild after the Civil War. Many difficult problems needed strong and careful decisions from the government. Grant worked to protect the rights of formerly enslaved people in the South. He supported new laws that helped give equal rights to all citizens. He also used federal power to fight against violent groups like the Ku Klux Klan. Could Grant bring peace and fairness to a country still full of conflict? Grant tried to make the country more fair and united after the war. However, his presidency also had serious problems and many political scandals. Some people in his government were dishonest and used power for personal gain. Even though Grant himself was honest, he trusted the wrong people sometimes. These mistakes damaged his reputation and made his leadership more difficult. Grant was president for 2 terms, from 1869 to 1877. During this time, he worked hard but faced many political challenges and criticism. After leaving the presidency, Grant and his wife traveled around the world. They visited many countries and met important leaders from different nations. People in other countries respected Grant as a strong and famous world leader. What happened when Grant returned home after his long world journey? When Grant came back to the United States, he faced financial problems again. He invested money in a business that later failed and lost everything. This situation made his life very difficult during his later years. Soon after that, Grant became very sick with throat cancer. His health became worse, and he knew that his time was limited. How did Grant respond to this final and most difficult challenge in life? Grant decided to write a book about his life and military experiences. He wanted to earn money to help his family after his death. This book was called Personal Memoirs of Grant and became very popular. Grant worked very hard on this book, even when he was very weak and sick. He finished writing it just a few days before he died in 1885. The book was a great success and helped his family financially after his death. Many people still read it today to learn about his life and the Civil War. Grant died on July 23, 1885, but his legacy remains very strong. He is remembered as a brave general and an important national leader. From a struggling man to a national hero, what can we learn from Grant's life? Grant's story teaches us about patience, hard work, and never giving up. Even when he failed many times, he continued moving forward in life. His journey shows that success can come after many difficult moments. Today, Ulysses Grant is remembered as one of the key figures in American history.